Hi, my name is Jonas. Everything in life needs a solid foundation, and in music this means bass. Mixing low end is a bit of an art though. Today I'm going to look at the history of one of the classic bass tricks that you really should know about. It's called the Pultec low end trick. First, some history. The original Pultec EQP-1 program equalizer was built by a company called Pulse Techniques. It was founded by Eugene Schenk and Oliver Simmerlin. It was in 1955 that they came up with the idea of an audio program equalizer that, according to them, would be superior to anything else available at the time. A device like this was called a program equalizer because it was typically used to enhance and correct audio that came from several sources to make it consistent between several tracks before it was being broadcasted or pressed to vinyl. It started being used quite a lot at the MGM studios in New York because at that time the demand for higher quality audio was rising. So what exactly is this Pultec EQP-1A? It is what we call a no-loss passive equalizer, of course because it was made in 1955, full of valves, or tubes as some people like to say. It being a passive equalizer in this case means that the signal level remains the same no matter if the EQ circuit is switched in or not. And this is how some audio engineers have been and still are using this unit. Just running audio through it without EQing at all, getting the coloration of the sound gotten from the valve amplifier circuit. The EQ section itself is a shelving EQ with 4 selectable bands. And there's a separate knob for boosting or attenuating this band. And this is where it gets interesting. In the manual we can find the following sentence. Do not attempt to boost and attenuate simultaneously on the low frequencies. So of course that's exactly what engineers started doing. Because although in theory boosting and attenuating at the same time should cancel each other out, in practice it actually does not. This is apparently because the boost and cut frequencies aren't exactly the same, and also the boost is a little bit stronger than the attenuation. Let's show you how this works using one of the many modern available Pultec clones. I'll be using the Tube-Tec for this demonstration. So for this first demonstration I'm going to try to really show visually what happens. So I'm going to use noise as a signal, which should be more or less equal across the spectrum. It's going to be like this. Now let's engage the Pultec. I'm going to boost and attenuate at the same time at 30 Hz. Bypassed again. Enabling it. As you can see, there's a nice boost in the low end, but there's a dip in the mid-low. While I'm actually just boosting and attenuating the same frequency. So you would expect that everything was cancelled out completely. But no, as you can see, there's a clear effect. I'm going to disable it again. The curve is more or less straight, and enabling it. And you clearly see this boost and cut. Now let's listen what effect it has on a simple 909 kick. So this is without the Pultec. And enabling it. You should probably listen to this with headphones, but then you can clearly hear, because I'm going to bypass it again. And enabling it. You can clearly hear that there's a nice boost in the low end and a bit of a dip again in the mid-low end, giving this kick a very nice quality. It becomes a little bit rounder and warmer. It's not really louder or like too bassy. It's a very interesting subtle thing, and it really works magic on kicks and basses, as you can hear. Without, with. I can make the settings a bit more extreme. Let's boost it to 10. Then without, with. I think for synthesizer kicks and samples it works very well with a pretty extreme boost and attenuation Don't put it on 10, that's maybe a little bit too much, but settings around 5, 6 or 7 are perfectly acceptable for me. It doesn't really sound extreme, it sounds just very, very nice. And for the final demonstration, let's hear what it can do with a full mix. So I have this track here that is not mastered yet and not actually properly mixed yet. And as you can hear, the low end sounds pretty thin and not that interesting yet. Let's quickly listen to it. Now let's boost and attenuate at 30 Hz again. And now let's disable it. Enable it again. Once again, a very nice low boost and a bit of a scoop in the mid-low, which sounds just so nice. Of course, there's more to the Pultec EQ than just the bass part. You also have the high frequencies. So let's boost those a little bit, because they are also very nice to give some air to a final mix or to hi-hats or basically to anything that really needs a bit of sparkle in a very nice sounding way. So we still have the low end trick enabled here. Now let's boost the high a little bit. I'm going for 10K. That's maximum, a little bit too much. But as you can hear, so as you can hear, there's actually a lot more to this Pultec EQ than just the low end trick. You most certainly have listened to countless records that utilize this trick. For example, the Motown engineers used it a lot, and actually it never went away from professional studios. In a modern context, it's still very useful and relevant. It is one of those techniques used to get that professional, great sounding low end in basically any genre of music. The original units are very expensive now, being sold for 6,000 plus euros, but luckily there are many hardware and software clones available. Of course, this EQ is not magically going to fix your mix, but it is a very nice tool to give it that few extra percent, make that kick and bass line a little bit juicier, or make that master bus just sound that bit fatter and better. And so far, the first episode of a new series where I go a little bit more in depth with the history and technique behind classic gear. I hope it was interesting to you. If you want more like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to be notified as soon as a new video goes online, click the bell button. See you next time. Bye bye.